Like a trusted turnout jacket you've had for years, Flex 7 outer shell fabric delivers a perfectly broken-in feel on the very first wear. Flexible, comfortable, and powered with the strength of Enforce technology, Flex 7 outer shell fabric is made to move. To learn more, visit tenkatafabrics.com/flex7. Flex 7, powered by Enforce technology, only from Tenkata Protective Fabrics.
Breathing in diesel exhaust fumes is like walking into a fire without a mask. Over time, those toxins lead to cancer. Protect yourself with Magnogrip, the easiest, most reliable exhaust removal system that features a true 100% seal to eliminate diesel exhaust fumes. To get free grant assistance, visit Magnogrip.com.
Welcome to Tailboard Talk with
Chris Rasmussen,
Craig Nelson, and Jeff Wallen. Every month we explore different topics of interest to you, our cohorts in fire and emergency services. So whether you sit back and listen, sound off on the message board, or call in live to be part of the conversation, we welcome you to join us in our mission to improve the fire service for those we serve and those we serve beside. Now coming to you live from the Great White North, this is Tailboard Talk on Fire Engineering Talk Radio.
Hey, welcome to Tailboard Talk for Friday, June 21st. This is Jeff.
This is Craig.
And Chris.
Nice. So
It's been a while, guys.
it's been even longer for me. I'm still wearing my vacation clothes. I was out on vacation when you guys were working on the episode that is going to be airing, well, in just a couple minutes here.
Right. I don't want to admit it in public, but things went pretty smooth with just Craig and I last time.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah. I think Jeff's been in vacation mode for a while.
I could see that. I could see how it go much better.
He's just a coaster.
He's a tech guy, but we don't need him anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now that we're high tech.
Yeah. So we got to hit the weather, I suppose. It is summer up in the Midwest.
Are you sure? I was looking at Craig, and
for all the older listeners,
Yeah.
you got to cover the weather just for a few seconds.
well, it looks more like winter when I'm looking at Craig, though. He's got the long sleeves. He's rocking the flannel and stuff. But
That's
it's because of Minnesota summers, right? Fighting the mosquitoes. You want to be out in the yard longer, so you got to cover a bunch of stuff up.
You cover up. That's right.
and it's 65 degrees instead of the 100 and some degrees that most of the country's
Yeah, kind of
dealing with right now. Yeah. So
Sure. And I would like it to be known I did not start off with the weather, nor was I intending to bring up the weather. So I don't know why you guys wanted to talk about the
He
weather
was
tonight.
too.
yeah, it's
He's not fooling anybody.
yeah, that's for sure. Everything been going good?
Yeah, I think everything's been going well. Lots of things happening in my host department, like in everybody's department. And,
Sure. Busy times, right?
Yep, spending time with family, trying to enjoy the summer, and really appreciating all that.
Right.
Yeah, it seems like it just gets pressed that much more in the summer with everybody trying to take vacation, get out, have fun, and then you still have all the department stuff going on.
Still got work to do. Yeah.
Still got to hire people and
Still got to
I've
establish budgets. Still got accreditation renewals that are
yeah,
due.
I still had a few things I got to wrap up before I also go on vacation. So I'm looking forward to those moments. But you got to get the work done.
True.
So last month the show aired, and we had Monte Fronk on, and he was discussing the national awareness of missing and murdered Indigenous people. I found it very moving. I think it's a national-wide epidemic that hopefully the fire service can be aware of it and keep eyes out for it and assist in any way possible, because we're on the street all the time. So very very moving that we were lucky to have him on to tell us his story about his daughter, which I'm sure is not an easy story to tell.
Well, and I think that's the first step. That's what we're introducing part 2 tonight, because there's enough length to this that we wanted to break it into 2 episodes. But it's building an awareness for the fire service. And I know for our fire department locally, we were able to have someone from the BCI come in just recently and provide training to all of our shifts on an awareness level. And that's I think what we're really trying to do here is build an awareness And then once we get that awareness built, then let's move on to the next steps to really truly recognizing it. And it's not that you can't recognize it when you have an awareness. It's just it's having that frame of mind when there's thousands of calls we go on. We're going into thousands of apartments and homes on a daily basis. Let's try and not just be aware, but then take action and recognize, hopefully down the road, and prevent some of this, or help be part of.
It's a situational awareness. That's
Yeah.
a big word all the time that we hear, and the more we talk about it, the more we're situationally aware, just like any other factors in the fire service. But this is a big thing that we're out on the street, running into situations that we should be taking a closer look at it, or involving another agency that can come out and get a different eyes on it and those things. So very, very interesting to hear his story, and it's shocking to see the numbers, when you hear the numbers out there.
That's what always surprises me in this day and age, how common it is, how much it's happening out there. It's shocking.
Right.
So again, we need to do our part to hopefully reduce the numbers of people being trafficked and help.
Yeah, recognize the signs, get some assistance, and hopefully we can help lower those numbers. I'd love to say we could get rid of it all, but we're not there 24/7. So I thought it was a very good. I was moved by the conversation, energized to be more aware of things I see on the street. So hopefully everyone feels the same, and it spreads across the country a little bit to continue to assist. And that's, it's we talked about Monte's daughter, but it's, it could be your daughter, it could be your family member. It's crazy to mention. I have a 29-year-old daughter she's legitly afraid to be taken, which confuses me, because we're in the Midwest, pretty safe, but it's not safe, so we have to be out there and looking. Never ran through my mind. I was worried about being taken. Sometimes I'd like to be, but that's not right. But I mean, you know what I mean? It's something that we need to be out there looking for.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody wants to hear the rest of Monte's story. So with that, we will roll over to the rest of his story.
Part 2. If you haven't read or haven't watched part 1, please do that also.
Yeah. Please, yeah.
So you get the complete story, but this is part 2.
Yeah. We'll see you next month.
Everybody stay safe.
Wow. I think we need to be the ones to thank you, Monte.
Yeah, I want to thank you for sharing your family story, the memory of your beautiful daughter in this situation. I'm blessed to be able to be here and hear this, hear a father tell the story. It's amazing. You answered a lot of questions that I had, but I do want to ask a few questions. And you said it best: the first responder community is out there, and we are running into medical situations, those kind of interactions with people that we meet. What is there a place that we can go to get more information on missing Native women, or missing people? I don't always, personally admit it, I don't always see it. Things come across, and I would like a place that I can go and look for that assistance.
And what you're saying is very common. I didn't know what I was looking at, because our indigenous relatives don't always look like myself with the dark features and, well, fortunately, more gray hair than black hair now. We have very much lighter shades and not always look as indigenous as others. But the one thing that we are seeing now is, because of this epidemic, is there are more resources that are out there. Thanks to Deb Haaland, our new Secretary of Interior, she has put the full force and weight of the Bureau of Indian Affairs. They have created the Missing and Murdered Unit within the Bureau of Indian Affairs. The Department of Justice now has a Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives Office. In Minnesota, we also have our own state office of missing and murdered Indigenous relatives. And all these agencies can provide free trainings. There's also the Blue campaign under the Department of Homeland Security, who also does human trafficking education too. When my daughter was being human trafficked, there wasn't none of these resources available. There wasn't any training available. You know, when people ask me, well, what is the best contact to reach out to? Currently, the only agency that has a 24/7 answering point is the Bureau of Indian Affairs, or BIA, Missing and Murdered Unit. If you Google that agency, they have a 24/7 number you can call. They've got a barcode you can scan also. And if you come upon a victim of human trafficking who you believe is Indigenous or Native, you can put the information right into that system. It goes to the special agent in charge here in Minnesota. That's Michael Potter, and they will follow up on that. Our state office is operating during the daytime, but they will follow up on calls, as well as the Department of Justice team. So there is a lot more resources that we in the fire service, we in the EMS can bring into your stations, either in person or virtual, to give your firefighters, your EMS staff, your emergency management staff more training in this. So you know what to look for. And importantly, you know what to ask or how to approach a possible victim who is Indigenous for being human trafficked. Remember, this is women and men with this. It isn't just it's always, women with this one. It's also both genders a lot of the times. And I always say, because when you look at what we do, we can provide safety for a possible victim, as in the back of our ambulances, in our apparatuses. We can separate them out. And typically law enforcement can't do this because usually the human trafficker is not very far away from their victim, and they won't want to cooperate because there's nothing providing safety around them like we can do in the fire and EMS world to say, hey, I know you're scared, but I want to ask you this, because you're safe here. You're in the back of our ambulances. You're in the back of our fire apparatuses, or maybe in a bus getting out after a fire. But there's ways we can provide safety to a victim that many times law enforcement can't, because we're outside dealing with the victim, and the human trafficker is still observing them, intimidating them to not say anything.
This I'm almost embarrassed to say it's taken me as long as it has to kind of recognize this, because we almost think of it as a law enforcement thing,
Right?
And it really isn't. The more I've been thinking about this several months, and Monty and I've been back and forth here the last week. Our personnel, just like you said, you have all these first responders, whether you're both combination fire EMS or EMS separate from fire and law enforcement. We go into people's houses all day, every day.
Yeah.
And so it got me thinking, well, in Fargo, we go into many, many homes every single day. And in Moorhead, across the river on the Minnesota side, they're going into people's homes every day. And you start to multiply that, and you go, the impact that first responders can have if everybody is aware of this, and could really be a powerful, it could have a powerful impact. I think it's getting us aware of it, making us aware of it. And so I think that really is really resonated with me is the awareness piece of this, that we play a role in this, and we can have a big impact in this. And I want you to know, Monty, that in Fargo, we actually have been talking. I'm not sure if you know Jill Crone, but she works for the North Dakota BCI and works in human trafficking. Mm-hmm. And we just we were talking to her a couple of weeks ago, and she's going to come in and give training to Fargo Fire here in the next couple of months. And now through the discussion that we're having this evening, we will. I am making a commitment that Fargo Fire will continue to train on this and build awareness, so that our personnel have the tools to help with this situation.
Right. Yeah. I mean, when we first talked about having you on the show, Craig and I sat down and talked about this in great detail. We have 130 firefighters. We go on 15,000 plus runs. Fargo PD has 260 police officers.
Yeah.
They go on 35, 40,000 runs. So we're all over the city.
Yeah.
I will pledge to you, I'll do my damnedest to end it in our community, at least.
Well, the biggest thing is to bring that awareness to your fire officers and to your firefighters, and knowing that, it'd be an honor to come up and speak to your officers in person, or to have the federal agencies come in and give you a more detailed in-person training. What I would love to see is for both your departments in May to have your fire logos on a T-shirt with the missing and murdered Indigenous relatives red hand, to say our agency supports this epidemic, and we wear our T-shirts with our Fargo and Moorhead logo in the front, but the missing and murdered Indigenous red hand in the back, to say we support this epidemic, and we know that we serve a community which has a very large urban Native population.
Right.
Okay.
Just a thought, because I know that we're seeing that more often with that, but I think those tribal advocates you do have in the Fargo Moorhead area, I think they would just be so honored for you reaching out to them, or when listening to this podcast. If you're, a tribal fire department, if you serve a tribal agency, if you're in an urban, serving a large urban Native population, I always say next month would be so critical to reach out to those advocates working in this one. If you don't know who they are, please reach out to me. You can Google our state MMIR office in Minnesota, the BIA MMU, or the DOJ MMIR office too, and they can give you the contacts for those, to say, hey, what can we do as a fire EMS agency to support and bring awareness next month for May, which is Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives Month, for us? How can we support this? How can we show as fire EMS that we have the compassion and understanding that we want to support and bring awareness to this? Not only getting training into our members, but also to be able, when we're going out in the community, to show our pride in the support of this epidemic, to show we are in solidarity with you as advocates in this epidemic, and hand in hand to try to bring those relatives home.
Yeah, we'll continue to work with you then on that, Monty, and see what we can make happen for next month.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fantastic. And I can't help but think, if there's a lady working in a flower shop that can have an impact,
Right,
then why can't we? And so we don't normally really push strongly for listeners to take action. This is, I have to say, this is something, any listeners, please take action on this. Any of our first responder listeners, we all play a role in this, and we can all help prevent this. And it's
there's fire departments across the nation. We can cover this.
Yep.
If we really want to, we can do this.
Because again, there are 580 federally recognized tribes. That's over 100 tribes per state, and very large urban Native populations all across this. And that's the gift of doing this Tailboard Talk with you. I know this goes in fire engineering. This goes nationwide. And that's why it's just an honor to be a brother in the service, but to be able to bring this awareness to our family, to our brothers and sisters out there through what your podcast does. And, if any of your members would like me to speak to them more on this, please, call me, or you can email me. That's absolutely fine. It's an honor when I'm asked to do this, especially with our brothers and sisters, because it is a unique role being now 35 years in public service and in this field, and walking this two worlds of being a responder, a tribal responder specifically, but also being a father of a missing and murdered Indigenous relative.
Absolutely. This is a very important message. And like you said earlier, I think people just took me this long to understand, some of those things that are going on out there. I think, to me personally, it's a very important message. And I hope all individuals that are listening to this share this and get this out, and look out for these helps in your state or your cities.
Mm-hmm.
We can lock this thing down. I mean, if you really want to.
I hope this is a start.
Yep.
I hope this is a starting point, both for us working with you, Monte, and then we'll continue this.
Well, again, that's the one thing we do in the fire and EMS service. We beg, borrow, and steal from each other all the time, and we bring trainings, we bring awareness, and everything we do, is we do for the good of the brothers and sisterhood. And this is just one more unique thing. But this is a life-saving measure that our brothers and sisters can bring awareness to, because again, we are seeing in the fire and EMS services that most of the calls we're getting are medicals. And as you said so elegantly, we are in so many people's homes. And granted, I know from our brothers and sisters, we have high call loads some days. We're going call to call to call. And sometimes we just don't have enough time to do basically a 360 in the house and say, what am I seeing? We're there, we go in, we do good patient care, we provide the best kind of service we can, and then it's to the next call. And sometimes that's just how the call volume is. And that is something we respect within our brothers and sisterhood. But if you have some additional awareness knowledge like we're talking about tonight, hopefully when you go into a home and it's like we say, doing a 360, do it inside and say, does everything seem to be appropriate? Do I see on my patient, do I see maybe telltale signs? Do I see tattoos? Do I see branding with that one? Do I see a fear in there? Okay. We're not law enforcement. We're the fire service. We're trusted. And maybe I just may able to be asked this man or woman, then the way that we do it in our great customer service skills, in the right way to say, hey, do you fear for your safety? If you are, we are here to help enforce as a fire department, or it's simply enough. Sometimes, say, are you being human trafficked? Sometimes it's just being as honest as you can be because of what you're seeing with your patient or within that resident that doesn't seem right. And that just might be the case. In fact, there was a story, I believe, on fire engineering a month ago, where two off-duty firefighters were at a convention, and they did exactly that. And they actually saved a young woman who was being human trafficked. So you just never know, on duty or off duty, where your compassionate service will lead you. And it might lead you to saving a life, not from a medical emergency, but from an Indigenous young man or young woman who's being human trafficked.
All right.
There's another message I wanted to touch on, and that you so eloquently put, that you talked about how your brothers and sisters in the emergency services, the first responders, really were there for you, and that's another message that I'd love to hear resonate, because it is so important that we be there for each other. Okay. Because as big as this, as many first responders as there are nationwide, it's a family, and it's not always as big as you think it is. I know one of the things, I know you mentioned Greg Hayes earlier, Monte, and you'd be interested maybe to know that I did my initial firefighter training with Greg 25 years ago.
There's probably a story right there.
Yeah, a few stories with him.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but when you talked about him having the food and being there for you, I mean that's the Greg I know, and that's the Greg I remember, and but that's what the first responder family is. And so especially any younger listeners out there that haven't really been brought into that fold, this stuff's extremely important, that we be there for each other through tough times, because the world's tough enough without help.
And when you say that, another thing that gets brought up is I've had fellow fire officers call me to say, we've had a death in my community of a Native person. What can we do as a fire agency to be supportive? Sure. One of the things which I have brought up to, I think I received like 3 calls like this, is a lot of Native cultures, you have to have we call a spirit fire from the day that they pass until the day of the funeral. Well, many times, if they're living in your urban area, as in Fargo-Moorhead, for example, they don't have access to firewood. And what a gift you could be as a fire service to say, hey, we understand you might need a spirit fire for your loved one. May we honor your loved one by bringing you the firewood to do that. And that might mean also you might have fire codes for no outdoor fires and no backyard fires, but you may have to adjust that to say, we're going to honor this Native family, and we're going to provide what we do best, that customer service, and we will bring them the firewood. We probably know somebody who has firewood. We'll adjust the fire code to allow them to have this. And 3 fire departments which have called me, that's exactly what they did, because they were in cities. And those Native families were absolutely beyond words grateful that a simple gesture that this was going to relieve them of worrying about that. Also, we talk about in all Native cultures, when you want to talk to, say, an elder. Now, an elder is somebody, well, by age-wise, is 55 or older, like we are in the Mille Lacs band. So now I crossed that age in my life. But several fire departments, one particular, modified their tobacco use policy so fire officers could carry tobacco in either their chief's buggies or other ones. So when you're going to a ceremony or going to offer that service, you have that same, or we call it tobacco, with you to give to that elder to say, may we be of service to your family in your, especially if it's a loss. So to see a non-Native fire officer change his tobacco policy to recognize and make it more culturally competent was just, again, a gesture of compassion. And finally, I always say, you are always invited, especially to the wakes. If you have a Native family, Indigenous family who has lost somebody, was your patient, a house fire victim, or unfortunately, a loss to violent crime, to show up at a wake with your department to say, we care for our residents, and we are here at your loved one's wake to show that we care, that we provided the service to your family. Unfortunately, maybe it wasn't a positive outcome, but we are here in person to show that support to you. And that's what happened to me. To have brothers and sisters come into a very culturally ceremony and say, yes, we don't know what's going to happen here, that we are a guest in a sovereign nation. But we are there to support and to show not only our support, but the fact that as a Native family, our support, that we were there for them during their loss.
Well, I once again want to thank you, Monte, for sharing your story with the fire service. Is there ways people can get a hold of you if they would like to visit?
Yep, if they'd like to. We all have 24-hour cell phones. You can definitely call me or text me on that, which is 320-362-0435, or email me at Monte with an E, MONTE .Fronk, FRONK, at mlaxband.com. That is MILLELECSBAND.com. If they want to get a hold of me for a question, or if they have want me to come on and speak to them, please, we all do so well. We're always of service to our brothers and sisters, and you would do the same thing. And I always know on your podcast, that's what we do well. We're always there for each other to share information, and as always we say, to keep learning.
Absolutely. Anytime you're in our area, Monte, look us up.
Yep, you're always welcome here. And
I am planning to do that. I was going to stop actually, but unfortunately I was speaking in Bismarck, North Dakota, when your wonderful blizzard came, if you remember that big doozy, and closed 94 down. So yes, I had planned to stop and see your assistant chief in Fargo, but Mother Nature just said, let's make it the big almighty snowstorm and close on I-94. So
yes, please stay in touch. And if you're coming through the area, please reach out, let us know. We will plan on staying in touch with you also.
Yeah, and the same thing. If you come up to Mille Lacs area fishing sometime,
very soon.
Yep, stop and see me at Mille Lacs here. And as we always say for Indian country, we have no word for goodbye. As Ojibwe people, we say Gibbawabanan. That means we'll see you later, because there's no person in any country that has a word for goodbye, because we always say see you later. And I know with us three talking tonight, we will see each other again. And as always, it's in a good way. And again, if I can be of service to any of our brothers and sisters listening to this podcast, please reach out to me. It's just an honor to share this story, because it currently is still relevant, and it's just a unique story because of what I do for the Mille Lacs Band and bringing a brother and losing a daughter this way.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see you later then.
That should wrap it up. And share the story. Please get out and share the story to everybody you can think of. Yeah.
If we as firefighters in the emergency services, we need to take action on this. We need to start bringing in the resources and building the awareness. And so, like Monte said, reach out to him, reach out to us. We will, because I'm right in the middle of this right now, actually building the resources, and I can pretty much guarantee I'll be talking to Monte here the next few weeks and getting more of those resources, because we're gonna do this in Fargo. We're gonna bring this to our personnel and make them aware and move forward on this.
Step one is this podcast.
Yep.
See the future, what we're gonna try to do here. So
yeah.
Yep.
Well, Monte, we'll see you later.
Yeah.
Yep.
To our listeners, we'll see you later.
Yep. Be safe, my brothers.
Thanks, man. Yep. Be safe.
Thank you for listening to Tailboard Talk. Don't forget to tune in each week, Monday through Friday, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Pacific, for Fire Engineering Talk Radio. You can also subscribe to all of our shows on iTunes. Just search for Fire Engineering Talk Radio. Check out our educational programs and consultation services. They're all available at tailboardconsulting.com. There you can find links to all of our shows and our magazine articles. Thanks for listening, and join us again next month for another episode of Tailboard Talk on Fire Engineering Talk Radio.
Like a trusted turnout jacket you've had for years, Flex 7 outer shell fabric delivers a perfectly broken-in feel on the very first wear. Flexible, comfortable, and powered with the strength of enforced technology, Flex 7 outer shell fabric is made to move. To learn more, visit tenkatafabrics.com/flex7. Flex 7, powered by enforced technology, only from Tenkata Protective Fabrics.
Breathing in diesel exhaust fumes is like walking into a fire without a mask. Over time, those toxins lead to cancer. Protect yourself with Magnogrip, the easiest, most reliable exhaust removal system that features a true 100% seal to eliminate diesel exhaust fumes. To get free grant assistance, visit Magnogrip.com.